Yo, what up guys, it's Slow Mo here hitting you with another video, and today we're going to talk about the PlayStation 5 showcase and my reaction to it. We're going to get into everything. We're going to get into the games, we're going to get into the services, we're going to get into the release date, we're going to get into all the drama that ensued and the mixed messaging that occurred after the show. So hit the like and subscribe button, and without further ado, let's just go ahead and get into it. So the first game shown was Final Fantasy XVI, and I must say I was very impressed. I was impressed with the character models. I was impressed with the character models' faces and even the imperfections seen in the character models' faces. I was impressed with the combat. I mean, it just looked very good to me. Not sure if it's running on Unreal Engine 4.25 or their own proprietary Luminous engine, but whatever it's running on, I think it looks very well. The lighting in the game, I think, is a bit flat, but it's not as bad as, say, something like Halo Infinite flat, so I'm not too worried about it. The combat reminds me of Lost Soul Aside, and I know some people thought it reminded them of Devil May Cry, but for me, definitely I see not influence because Lost Soul Aside is not even out yet, but they just look so similar in speed and the attacks. The animations, although Final Fantasy XVI's animations are far better, Square Enix being a much bigger studio, developer, publisher, and little old Util Zero Games, a small team, and Yang Bing can't really compete, but not really comparing them. The combat looks good, and coming off of Final Fantasy VII Remake, Square Enix is really impressing me with how they've been implementing and improving on their combat systems. Ever since Final Fantasy 15, which I thought had a very basic combat, it looked good, it played okay, but it was very easy. I think their progression with Final Fantasy VII Remake and then now this seems to show a lot of growth. The story and character seem very interesting to me. I was kind of surprised they put so much story into the trailer. I don't still quite know what's going on, but I do find it very engaging. The length of the trailer and the amount of content shown made me kind of feel like the game might not be as far off as, say, Project Athia. Hopefully it does come out in a couple of years, but it's Square Enix, so who knows when it could come out. It could come out in 2026. But this game will be timed exclusive when it does come out to PlayStation 5, and 6 months after that it will be released on the PC, and 6 months after the PC release it will be available on an Xbox. So at least with this timed exclusive, we have some clarity on what's going on here. But I take this the way I always take these kind of situations. I did it with Final Fantasy VII Remake. If I want the game and I really want this game, I am not waiting. I'm not going to wait for my preferred platform, which you could say is probably PC at this point, to get it. I'm not waiting 6 months for a game. I'll get it day one on a platform that has it, and so I'll be getting it day one on PlayStation 5. So next they showed Spider-Man Miles Morales, and I think this probably showed the best out of any game that was at the show. Footage was shown running on a PlayStation 5, whereas the Final Fantasy 16 they showed earlier was running on a PC that was spec to what a PlayStation 5 currently is. But Spider-Man Miles Morales looked great. You can definitely see the ray tracing being put into effect in some kind of like with the puddles on the ground and things like that. Puddles. The combat looks amazing and seems to be an improvement over 2018 Spider-Man, which was pretty good to begin with. The foundation of the combat is still the same. It's still just like the previous game, just with a closer camera and better animations on the slow motion when you invade enemies, and just more dynamic moves that seem to be so action-packed, where it just seems much flashier with more particle effects, especially considering Miles' powers. Of course that would be like that, but it just seems to have taken the combat from the previous game and upped it up a notch. And talking about upping things up a notch, I think the animation is top notch here. They really do a great job with those action showpieces that you see in superhero games. Crystal Dynamics tried this with Marvel's Avengers, but it just wasn't executed nearly as well. It was fine. It just nothing like this here. I didn't get this with Marvel's Avengers, this kind of action-packed sequence. So Insomniac is just a cut above when it comes to this kind of stuff. But now I do need to be honest here. Sony needs to be called out for hiding that this game was going to be on PlayStation 4. They announced this game in June. All they talked about was PlayStation 5. At no point did they ever say this game was coming to PlayStation 4. It's a lie of omission because you intentionally manipulated people by telling them, here's the Spider-Man Miles Morales on PlayStation 5, and trying your best not to mention that was coming out on PlayStation 4. Now, spare me the nonsense that this was a last-minute decision due to Xbox's cross-gen stance. No, that's not how game development works. They would have needed to have planned on developing this game on an old Jaguar CPU, which is what the PlayStation 4 has, with an old dusty hard drive. They would have had to plan this years ago. This was always meant to come out on PlayStation 4, and Sony intentionally misled gamers into thinking it was a PlayStation 5 exclusive. There's no excuse for it. Sony's messaging has been piss poor and borderline manipulative. And all that said, still getting the game. It looks amazing. But I'm not going to sit by and pretend like the nonsense that's been going on with Sony's marketing is excusable because the game looks good. So next we had the Harry Potter game that we had seen leaked some years ago, but finally an official reveal for it. It's called Hogwarts University. Looks very impressive visually. Nice use of screen space reflections on the water there. I'm not a big fan of Harry Potter personally, but I found the premise of being a student at Hogwarts with everything that can occur in that series and the books and the movies and stuff to be somewhat interesting. This is definitely a game I'm kind of have on my radar, not fully invested in yet, but something that I might pick up if I've got like a slow period of games that I'm playing, or I see more of it and I really like what I'm seeing. It's supposed to come out in 2021, so next year at some point, but no release period, quarter, or date, and also no word of any exclusivity for PlayStation 5 yet, but we might see that soon. Okay, so yet another Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Yeah, I guess. Look, I'm not a big Call of Duty fan, so don't really care about this game, although visually I do think it looks good. Looks just as good as last year's Modern Warfare, although I don't think it's using the same new Call of Duty engine. I don't really have much more to say about this. It looks alright. It's going to come out later this year. Actually, November 13th, a few days after the next-gen consoles are released, to be exact. I did think it was kind of hilarious that they dropped this RC car on the road as they're chasing a plane, being surrounded by Jeeps, and this RC car is driving faster than the Jeeps in a freaking plane. I mean, just kind of over the top shenanigans, but it's Call of Duty, so you kind of expect that. It's a big skip for me, but I'm pretty sure Call of Duty fans are going to be excited about this. So next up we have Resident Evil Village, which I don't quite think is Resident Evil 8. I'm not quite sure about that, but here's another series that I don't really care about, in my opinion. Even though this game is running on the very amazing RE engine, I still don't see any visual improvements from the current gen versions of Resident Evil 2 Remake and Resident Evil 3 Remake. I actually think the character models for the characters in those games look way better than what I'm seeing here in Resident Evil Village. And so it's a big skip for me, but if you're an RE fan, I'm pretty sure you're very excited about this one. And next was Deathloop, and you know what? Shout out to Arcane Studios. This game looks amazing. It looks better and better every time they show it, every time I see it. The abilities, the gunplay, executions, all that stuff looks amazing. This game is going to be a timed exclusive for consoles. It is slated to be released in quarter 2 of 2021 on PlayStation 5 and PC, with a release on Xbox a year later. But this might be one of my sleeper dark horse potential game of the year nominees for next year. I just really enjoy what I've been seeing from this game. I like the premise, the whole time loop thing. It seems like they've really nailed this idea that doing certain things at certain times changes everything else that may happen throughout the day, and how you're hunting these other people, but then you're also being hunted by someone else, and it's just amazing. It's very unique, and I love unique games with unique gameplay, and this is really showing that to me, so I can't wait for this one. They also showed Devil May Cry Special Edition, which I guess is yet another remaster of a game that only came out a year ago, but the trailer had ray tracing in it, and you see ray tracing all over the place in the trailer. Really, apparently that feature will be available at launch for the PlayStation 5, but patched in later for the Xbox Series consoles. Also, Capcom claims that they have no plans to release it on PC, which means to me I fully expect a release on PC at a later date at some point, but it is what it is. Oh boy, Oddworld Soulstorm. I don't know why they keep showing this game. I have about as much desire to play this as I do Bugsnax. I mean, come on, stop with the Oddworld. I know it used to be very popular back in the day, but come on, this, I don't think this newer generation that's never seen Oddworld before, I don't think it really resonates with them, and I think some of us older gamers really don't care about the franchise. If we did, it wouldn't have gone away for so long. So, but if you are interested, it's console exclusive to PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4 for an undetermined period of time, but will be available on PC at launch. So there you go. Friday Night at Freddy's Security Breach. about the same as Oddworld. I really don't care about this game. I also don't know why it's here. It's Friday Night at Freddy's. I mean, it's the same game design. You're sitting in a chair, opening and closing doors, trying not to get killed by animatronics. Yeah, I mean, that's about it. And then every now and then something jumps at you and scares the crap out of you. I don't see the point, but I guess some people like that. Okay, it's also timed exclusive for 3 months for the PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4, and will be available on PC at launch. And next we had Demon Souls Remake, being developed by Bluepoint Games, who I'm kind of surprised has not been announced as a first-party developer for PlayStation Studios at this point. It seems all they make is PlayStation Studio remakes of older IP, and why not just lock that down, Sony? Maybe they have already and just haven't announced it. I don't know. But anyway, Demon Souls Remake looked really good. I'm not really into Dark Souls games, but this game looks really good. Hopefully it will run at 60 frames per second at the minimum. This is another one where the messaging was all messed up. They initially said it was going to be available on PlayStation 5 and PC at launch. There was major backlash all over the internet. They pulled the trailer off YouTube and then re-uploaded it, now saying it's simply exclusive to PlayStation 5. Now look, after Final Fantasy VII Remake and Death Stranding, where news was coming out that it was coming to other platforms, with Final Fantasy VII Remake, we actually saw box art of it coming to an Xbox. With Death Stranding, we saw multiple people with sources say it was being developed for PC. Sony denied. And then it comes out that Death Stranding is out on PC now. Final Fantasy VII Remake will be available on Xbox and PC next year. Nobody should be fooled by Sony and their shenanigans by this point. That game is coming to PC in like another year. When Sony does exclusivity deals, or when they decide to make things that are first party to them exclusive, they don't want you to know it's ever going to be available anywhere else but where they want you to buy it at. If they gotta omit some truths in order to do that, they will. You can tell by the language that the developers and publishers use when asked about other platforms where this is going. They always say, we have no plans of putting X game on Y platform at this time. That at this time is always there because they know they don't want to get called to the carpet after it comes out that the game is going to be put on a different platform, and they could always have an out saying, well, we said at this time. We weren't saying it was never going to go. So that's what it is. It's what they have to say legally to not have Sony bashing over the head for breaching their contract. So look, the game is going to go to PC eventually. But if you want to play it, I recommend you get a PS5 and play it. Simple as that. So why is Fortnite here? I mean, yeah, it's Fortnite and it's on everything. It's the most successful game in the world. But did we need to see Fortnite here to know that it was going to be available on PlayStation 5? I mean, it's a free-to-play game and it's wildly successful and every platform has to have it. So why did it need to be here at the show? Don't get it. Moving on. Next, they showed us what is now called the PlayStation Plus Collection for the PS5 only. Now, the PlayStation 4 collection is, I think, Sony's answer to Xbox's Game Pass in a way. You get a PlayStation 5, and if you are a PlayStation Plus subscriber or you choose to sign up, you get a collection of PlayStation 4 games for no additional charge, and most of them seem to be first party games and of high quality, although they are a bit old. These are just really great titles like God of War, Bloodborne, Persona 5, Detroit Become Human, Monster Hunter World, Resident Evil 7, games that people really enjoyed. So if you are a PS Plus subscriber and you haven't played those games, there you go. That's going to be a little bit of a bonus to getting the PlayStation 5. I think this was as far as Sony was willing to go without going the Game Pass route. They are never really going to go full Game Pass. Jim Ryan stated, for us, having a catalog of games is not something that defines a platform. Our pitch, as you've heard, is new games, great games. We have had this conversation before, and we are not going to go down the road of putting new release titles into a subscription model. These games cost many millions of dollars, well over 100 million to develop. We just don't see that as sustainable, and that's understandable. Most platform holders don't feel that is sustainable. Something I do wonder though is if this is all that will be in the PlayStation Plus collection. Are they going to continue to add games to it over time, or are they going to start putting some of their first party games that get a little old, let's say after a year or two, into PS Now? Will they go into both? Would one actually hurt the other? I'm not sure. we'll see what happens. Jim Ryan also stated in an interview with the Washington Post after the show that 99% of the PlayStation 4 games, 99% of the library for the PlayStation 4 will be backwards compatible to PS5. So people shouldn't be concerned that this is somehow a substitute for backwards compatibility. It's not. And then we finally had the price reveal, which I will admit I was slightly wrong on these prices, but it makes sense in retrospect. So my prediction was it would be $499 for the PlayStation 5, and I was right about that. But where I was wrong was I thought it would be $449 for the digital version, but it's $399 instead. Shout out to Forte, who said that, and I give him props for getting those numbers. He did get the prices correct. Now, the reason why I said it makes sense in retrospect is that considering their competition, which is Xbox, has a next-gen option that is $299, a weaker option, yes, but an option nonetheless that they probably needed to be closer to that for their lower option, just to make sure that the casual gamer doesn't see a huge $150 to $200 price gap between those two versions and just opts to the competition. Now, reports are that the digital version, which has already gone out on pre-order well before anyone got a warning, is in limited number, which doesn't surprise me since their only difference between the digital version and the regular version is the omission of an optical drive. So the cost of production of that PlayStation 5 digital is still somewhere around $430 to $450. So they're losing money per unit on this and hoping to make it back on software. So it does make sense to me that they aren't producing too many of those units, because they really kind of want you to purchase the regular PlayStation 5 at $499. I didn't think they were going to take that hit on price when I made my prediction of $449, but it seems that they've kind of subsidized that by just not making as many units as they're making for the regular version, but it is what it is. And then finally, the kind of one more thing teaser was God of War Ragnarok, which I'm kind of shocked that they even showed so early, because I'm also kind of shocked that it's coming out in 2021. Now, I also kind of think it's going to get delayed into 2022, but that date and it being only 3 years after the release of the previous God of War from Sony Santa Monica makes me kind of feel like this isn't as big a game. This might be more of a expansion or a continuation of that story arc where in the ending, spoiler alert here, you meet up with Thor and that showdown's about to happen. So maybe that's what this is, and this kind of a shorter story or shorter game than what the previous God of War was. I guess we'll see, but I do kind of feel like it's probably going to end up getting delayed into 2022 anyway. And so that was the full show, and my overall impression of the show when it ended was it was 8 out of 10. I saw some new games I liked. I saw Final Fantasy XVI, really liked that, looking forward to it. I was shocked by the God of War Ragnarok reveal. Hogwarts Legacy looked pretty good. Spiderman Miles Morales looked amazing. Deathloop, amazing. People got to see Demon Souls remake gameplay and they really liked it. Thought it was a strong showing. The prices were good. They gave us the date 2 days after the Xbox Series systems comes out. All good. Then we start getting into some of the stuff that was revealed after the show. And we start finding out that many of these games that we thought were PlayStation 5 exclusive and that Sony led us to believe were PlayStation 5 exclusive were indeed not PlayStation 5 exclusive. They will be available on the PlayStation 4. Now, if you were all in on the PlayStation 5, that doesn't mean you shouldn't be all in on the PlayStation 5. If you don't think it's that big a deal, you want to play the game in this best quality and it's going to be only available on the PlayStation 4 or a PlayStation 5, go get a PlayStation 5 and be happy. But let's not kid ourselves here. Sony intentionally omitted information on games that they showed months ago in order to give you the impression that they were doing something different than what Microsoft was doing. It's deceptive marketing, and we cannot and should not let that slide. I'm going to read you a quote from Jim Ryan not too long ago, where he said, "We have always said that we believe in generations. We believe that when you go to it, all the trouble of creating a next-gen console, that it should include features and benefits that the previous generation does not include, and that in our view, people should make games that can make the most of those features. We do believe in generations, and whether it's the DualSense controller, whether it's the 3D audio, whether it's the multiple ways that the SSD can be used, we are thinking that it is time to give the PlayStation community something new, something different, that can really only be enjoyed on PlayStation 5. Nice quote. What it's not addressing is that your games that you led us to believe were PlayStation 5 only games are designed for hardware from 2013. Game design. It has nothing to do with scalability. It's nothing to do with features. And because you led people to believe that you weren't doing what Microsoft was doing, you weren't doing what Xbox was doing, people have a very reasonable response to how they found out. It wasn't by you telling us during the show, it was after the show. And how many people were on Twitter looking up this kind of information? Not many. And that seems intentional. Another issue, Spider-Man Miles Morales seems to be another issue, is that the updated version for PS5, the updated version of Spider-Man for PS5 seems to be locked behind a paywall. There's no free upgrade to this if you already own the game. You have to buy the Miles Morales game in order to get that version. Now, granted, many people, if you enjoyed Spider-Man 2018, you're probably going to get Miles Morales anyway. But the sheer fact that I would have to purchase the game in order to get an upgrade is very reminiscent of Control and Remedy and 505 games. Talking about human error in having the trailer for Demon's Souls say that it's coming to PC and PlayStation 5. Oh, human error, we didn't mean that. This is a pre-recorded show. This wasn't live. This was a mistake by someone else. This is your own people. You're going to tell me that you're not making this game for PC? Come on, you're making the game for PC. The cat's already out the bag. Why don't you just admit it? Why disrespect our intelligence by pretending you're not going to put it on PC? We all know you are. Everyone with a brain knows you are. This is silly. Horizon Forbidden West is a PlayStation 4 game as well. So, is the flying mechanic going to be in that game? Because Guerrilla Games said that they didn't do the flying mechanic in the first game because the hardware couldn't handle it. Is this game's game design being held back by the previous generation too? Is Ratchet & Clank going to be on PlayStation 4? So far, we don't see anything that says so, but at this point, can you really trust that? What about God of War? Is that one PS5 exclusive? Can you trust that? It's just the messaging here is terrible. It's really bad, and they really need to do better. We gotta call a spade a spade. Gotta call it how it is, straight down the middle. Their messaging and everything that came out after the show impacted how I felt about the show itself. And so initially when I said an 8 out of 10, that dropped down to like a 7.5 out of 10. Because although the games they showed were quality and should be games that people should be excited for, it leaves a sour taste in your mouth when you can't trust the words of these executives that tell you flat out what's going on, tell you flat out where the game's supposed to be and what it's supposed to be available on. By the way, don't tell people that here, put in your PSN ID because we're going to give you an email and let you know when you personally, you big old PlayStation fan, you personally can pre-order your PlayStation 5. Don't you worry, we'll give you advance notice. Whoops, pre-orders are out. Snooze, you lose. Too bad you may have been at work. Too bad you may have been asleep. Oh well, like that's not good. That's actually awful that you screwed up that badly. And there's really no excuse around it. So that's my video. That's my thoughts. That's my reaction on the show. Me personally, I don't know whether I'm getting a PS5 yet. I really don't need a PS5 for any of the games that I was interested in, which really was only just Spider-Man Miles Morales. I could play that on my PlayStation 4. So what is the benefit of playing it on PS5? Is it just 60 frames per second with ray tracing? Is that worth at minimum an additional $400 for one game? I mean, I'll buy a system for a game when it's only a game that I can't get anywhere else, but I can get it anywhere else. I don't know. So far right now, it's a no. I might end up changing my mind as we get closer to launch, we'll see. But you guys let me know how you guys feel about the show. How did you like it? Let me know your scores. Let me know all that. Put that in the chat, in the comment section. Hit the like button if you liked the video. Hit the dislike button if you didn't. It's all good. Hit the subscribe button if you like my content and want to see more content like this in the future. Peace.